Hi guys, this is Omer from MMOHut.com, and I'm going to do another quick weekly recap of MMO news and announcements for the week ending June 26, 2011. And as you can see from the video playing in the background, the first piece of news that we're going to take a look at has to do with Team Fortress 2. And the news is that as of June 23rd, 2011, Team Fortress 2 from Valve officially went free to play. And the game was originally released back in 2007, so going free to play makes a lot of sense for Valve. Now this is certainly big news because Team Fortress 2 is incredibly fun and a very high rated game as well, which can now be played for free. And as an F2P game, Team Fortress 2 does have an in-game cash shop. Very cool to see Valve make one of their mainstream titles free to play. One thing worth mentioning though is the game's size is actually quite massive. It's like a 10 GB install on Steam. Next up guys, on June 21st, 2011, JoyMax announced that Cabal Online will begin its pre-open beta on July 5th. Now what a pre-open beta is, I'm not sure, but I guess it'll be a real open beta later. This will be pre-open beta, so you can still expect wipes after July 5th. At least this bit of news does show you that Cabal Online is making progress into full release eventually. Up next guys, also on June 21st, 2011, LEGO Universe announced that it will be going somewhat free to play. For those that haven't heard of LEGO Universe Online, it's a LEGO themed MMORPG that originally launched as a pay-to-play MMORPG, but will be launching sort of a free trial in the game where players can play unlimited for free in a free-to-play zone in the game. Now keep in mind, the game is still largely free-to-play, it just has a new free-to-play zone in the game, which is still highly restrictive, but this is the right step towards going full free-to-play in the future, perhaps. Now the premium subscription still costs $10 per month. Up next guys is another pay-to-play MMORPG going free-to-play, sort of at least. City of Heroes announced that it will be going free-to-play sometime later this year. Now the free-to-play version of City of Heroes will feature free-to-play access to the game up until level 50, with certain restrictions in the game still in place. It's kind of odd to see City of Heroes not as free-to-play as Champions Online, which is a newer superhero-themed MMORPG. Now this is especially odd because both games were developed by the same company, and Stealth didn't specify exactly when the game will go free-to-play, just later this year. Up next guys, on June 22nd, 2011, and man, I'm going fast this time, Game Mania announces Warrior of the Dragon, a brand new MMORPG. And Game Mania is the same company called Bean Fun. It's like their online portal. They're also the guys behind Loosened Heart. Now the game's name is Warrior of Dragon, which sounds kind of odd. Like I've heard of Dragon Warrior, but what's Warrior of Dragon? Anyway, the game will blend Chinese mythology with Western fantasy into a PvP focused game. The game will feature 3 races and 6 classes split between 2 factions. Now the game will emphasize action-oriented combat, which allows weapon swapping, tactics, and evasion during combat. Now there is no official release date set for the game yet. Up next guys, on June 22nd, 2011 is a bit of news from the G-Potato. And the news is that they'll be publishing Uncharted Waters Online. Now it's a game by Netmarble, so it's kind of odd to see G-Potato publishing the same exact game that's available through Netmarble, but apparently this will be the US and EU version, whereas the Netmarble version will be global. But you can still pick which one you want to play on if you're in North America or Europe. As a bonus to new G-Potato players, any player below level 80 will gain 200% bonus experience for the first month of playing the G-Potato version. Also on June 22nd, 2011 guys, The Chosen begins closed beta, and The Chosen is an upcoming fantasy MMORPG published by Snail Games. The game will feature 5 Chinese dynasties, 6 classes, and a backdrop that features Chinese history, including the 3 Kingdoms. The 3 Kingdoms era is a major component of Chinese history. A lot of Chinese MMORPGs feature that genre, that theme. And don't you love official launch trailers with no actual gameplay? Like, you can't see any gameplay in this video, but the game's graphics look a bit like, I would say, Dragon Oath. Now the closed beta for the game already began, but it will officially launch on July 5th. So hopefully on July 5th, anyone who wants to play the game can play the game. Up next guys, an update for Elsword Online adds new dungeons as well as other things to the game. It adds a total of 2 new dungeons, 13 new monsters, and 24 new quests, as well as 2 new titles are now obtainable. Good to see Killer Combo updating Elsword, especially with the shutdown of Fist of Fu earlier. At least the shutdown announcement. Next up guys, big news from MapleStory. And the news is that MapleStory announced the Chaos update, which will be launching later this summer. Now I wasn't sure whether to feature Team Fortress 2 or this update as the first piece of news, but I decided to go with Team Fortress 2. But this is also a big piece of news, as MapleStory is easily one of the most popular free-to-play MMORPGs out there, and the first update will take place on June 29th with the Age of Heroes, and a new gate to the future with new zones, quests, and a new boss to defeat. Also with the update, all the classes of the game will get a major revamp. Now this is the first of a series of Chaos updates, with a later one adding PvP to MapleStory later on. Next up guys, on June 24th, 2011, Cabal Online announces Episode 6, which is the next major update for Cabal Online, which is launching later this summer. The update will add a new time-based instance to the game called Marquino's Outpost, where players kill bosses to gain more time in the dungeons, as well as a new dungeon point system which basically rewards players for completing dungeons, getting points and exchanging those for new items. New world bosses are also being added into the beginner maps, and also more little features are also being added, including a revision to the upgrading system, new pets, armor, and all that good stuff. It's always cool to see an older game like Cabal Online still being updated, especially with Cabal Online 2 eventually coming out. Next up, guys, on June 23rd, 2011, should have mentioned this before actually, but Black Prophecy announced its Episode 1 expansion called Inferno in Tulima, if I said that correctly. It's the first major expansion to Black Prophecy and will add a new area to the game called the Enzo's Enigmatic Emporium of Exotic Elegance. That's a lot of E's. Available for level 15 players with new quests, story missions, and more. A new in-game instant messaging system will also be put in place, along with a new open world sectors and new PvP reward systems, new weapon types, and new skills. The update is scheduled to go live sometime in July. Up next, guys, on June 24th, 2011, I'm not sure why I keep saying 2011, but closed beta for Rusty Hearts has been announced by Perfect World, and the closed beta testing for Rusty Hearts begins on July 27th. And if you haven't heard of Rusty Hearts by now, it's an action MMORPG that looks and plays like a bit like Vindictus, except a bit more anime-inspired with cel-shaded graphics. The game features multiple character control, which sounds kind of neat, and that should hopefully distinguish the game from other action MMORPGs. Up next, guys, on June 24th is a bit of sad news from Sony Online Entertainment, and the news is that Star Wars Galaxies will be shutting down before the end of the year. It's supposed to be on December 15th, 2011, but this is no surprise. Now, first of all, the game was never really free to play. It had a free trial, though. And secondly, the game really can't compete with the upcoming The Old Republic MMORPG from BioWare, which is so much newer, much better graphics, much bigger development team behind it, and all that. But I do want to mention, I actually played Star Wars Galaxies when the game first came out. I actually went to the store and bought it and subscribed to it. It was a really fun game, but I actually quit before they really changed the game around and shook things up and added levels to the game to be more like World of Warcraft. It would have been cool to see Star Wars Galaxies go free to play, but nope, guys, the game is shutting down on December 15th, 2011. Well, guys, that's it for MMO news, but as for upcoming games, we have HellGate, which is scheduled to begin its open beta on June 30th, and HellGate is actually a remake of the original HellGate London game, still the same game, but basically being relaunched. It originally launched as a pay-to-play, like retail game you have to buy, but now will be fully free to play. And the open beta again is on June 30th for North America and Europe, and it will be published on T3 Fun. Gameplay-wise, as you can see, it mixes MMORPG elements with first-person shooter elements, which definitely sounds kind of neat. Now, I never played the original HellGate game because it shut down fairly fast, but I do plan on trying HellGate when it actually comes out because I never played it and it seems kind of cool. And that's it for upcoming games, but as for games recently launched, we have nothing. But for upcoming games, I should also mention, we still have The Chosen, which is coming out on July 5th, but I already talked about that earlier, so I'm going to call it for now. Anyway, guys, that's it for MMO news and announcements for the week ending June 26th. Yeah, it's June 26th. Now, if you want to read about or learn more about any of the news I mentioned in this video, simply head on over to MMOHut.com/news. And if you want to discuss anything in this video, simply head on over to MMOHut.com/forums. Anyway, guys, it's Omer, signing off.